Hello, good people, and thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Christian Barnes, and I am the lead financial coach and founder of Do Better Financial. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and happy Monday to you. As you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about breaking down the stimulus package. I know when I saw some of the legislation that was going to be part of this package, I realized that there was a very good chance that a lot of people were not going to understand exactly what all of it said. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to break this down, tell you what the ins and outs of it are going to be, and just give you an opportunity to ask some questions if you have any. Hey, Mom, thanks for joining me. So just FYI, I am currently going live from a computer, if you pop in, I won't see that you popped in unless you say hello. So if you want me to say hi back, say something. Okay. There are also going to be a couple of polls popping up in the comments, so please feel free to go ahead and answer those when you have a chance. And we're going to jump right into this. This is going to take a little bit. We're actually going to be, I'm sorry, I should start it here. We're actually going to be doing this in at least 4 parts, possibly 5. Today is specifically going to be about stimulus payments. So obviously this package has a lot of different bits and moving pieces to it, but the one that most people are concerned about is the stimulus payment specifically. So we're going to walk through that. So first question is, who is eligible? Great question. U.S. residents who have an adjusted gross income, I'll get to what that means in a second, under $75,000 for single people. So if you're a single person, if you filed single, then it would be under $75,000 total income, under $112,500 for someone who have filed head of household. So that'll be like a single mom, single dad, single grandpa, that kind of thing, grandma. Also, and then it would be 150 for married couples filing jointly or separately, okay? Also, people who will be eligible would be the unemployed. So if you're on unemployment or if you're applying for unemployment, you will qualify, or if you want unemployment. Veterans, so anybody who's currently getting veterans benefits, and also people who are on Social Security and or disability payments. All of those people are currently eligible. There are definitely people who have been left out of that group, unfortunately, but that's who's currently eligible for the stimulus package. So based on those criteria, you may be thinking to yourself, I make too much. Thanks for sharing, Jarita. I make too much in order to actually qualify. What if my income was too much in 2018? This actually happened from one of my clients. If your income was higher in 2018 than was in 2019, and you haven't filed your 2019 taxes yet, and I see I have one person on who hasn't filed yet, then it would be a good idea to go ahead and file, okay? If your income particularly is lower than it was in 2018. Otherwise, 2018 is what they're going to be using in order to decide if you qualify, but you should know that this is technically an accelerated tax credit. So what's really going to happen is in reality, this is for 2020. And so theoretically, they would like to base it on what you're making in 2020, but it doesn't seem plausible. We're only 3 months into 2020. It feels like it's been, 6 years, but we're only 3 months in. So they don't have a way to say for sure how much a person's going to make. So they're sending these out in advance. And if it turns out that in 2018 and 2019, you made too much, but now, for a whole month in 2020, you haven't had any income, and who knows how long this could continue. If that's the case, when you get to 2021 to file your taxes, you would be eligible for that credit. So that amount of money would be added to the normal amount that you might get in a refund. So this is an accelerated tax credit. The other flip side of that is if you are someone who ends up making more in 2020, praise the Lord. I hope that's all of you. I hope that in spite of all of this, you all just bust the seams of your wallet and you can give so much that people's heads spin. But if you end up making more in 2020 than you did in 2018 or 2019, and you become ineligible, so I believe the number is 98,000 for individuals and 199,000 for couples. That feels right. I might actually have those backwards. It might be 99 for individuals and 198 for couples. That's probably right. Yeah, because if you double 99, that's 198. Anyway, so 99 and 198, right? Those two numbers. If you end up over that, by the time you get to 2021 and need to file your taxes, they will be asking for a portion or all of that back. So let's talk about how much you're going to get, all right? So it's the starter. If you're under those brackets that I just listed, you would get $1,200. I'm reading this so I don't get it wrong. So pardon me while I teleprompt. $1,200 per adult. So if you were a married couple who made less than $150,000, that would be $2,400, and then you get $500 per child under the age of 17. So if you were a family of 4 and you met all of these criteria, you would get. Thanks for sharing, Jasmine. You would get $2,200. Okay, did I do that right? Nope. $2,400. Nope. Still not enough. 24 plus 1,000 is $3,400. This is why they created calculators. TI-83s, anyone? Right, so you would get $3,400 if you met all those criteria and had 2 children under the age of 17. If you go over that, there is a calculator that I'm going to share in the comments, but if you go over that, you can actually, hey J. Arlene, thanks for joining me today. If you go over that amount, they deduct $5 from your total for every extra $100 you make. Example, if you made $75,100 in 2019 or 18, in 2019 or 2018, then you would, instead of getting $1,200, you would get $1,195. Does that make sense? Yeah, you would get $1,195. So that's a great question. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Mom. Phyllis Stewart. I'm going to call her by both names so you guys know who she is. If you are a college student, you might be eligible. You're only eligible if no one else is going to claim you on their taxes. So there's kind of a gray area where somebody like could be 18 or 19, not have any income, but their parents would not get $500 for them. If you are a kid who has worked at any point in time and you have filed your own taxes, technically you could get this money, but only if your parents don't claim you. So that's a little bit of an annoying gray area, but that's what I've read so far. I'm also going to post in the comments when I finish up with this kind of a Q&A that was really great that came out from, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, maybe the New York Times, one of those. I've been reading a lot of those in Forbes. So that's what's going to happen if you're a college student. If you're a college student who's been working, you filed your own taxes, and you're emancipated and no one can claim you, then you would be able to get the $1,200. If you're over 17 and your parents still claim you, from what I've seen, your parents won't get anything for it. Thanks for sharing, Cheryl. So that's kind of how it works for college students, but definitely dig into it and make sure that's the case for each and every situation. There may be some nuances that I haven't seen thus far, like based on whether or not you're on their insurance or something. I haven't seen that, but I'm going to be doing more of these. So if I find that, I will definitely let you know. So how do you get it? As the first question stated, if you have filed your 2018 or 2019 taxes, then you will be able to take advantage of this. Thanks for sharing, Jaron. You will be able to take advantage of this. They will be sending you money in some form. So if you filed your 2018 taxes, like I said, I had a client who filed in 2018. They made too much that year. They wouldn't have qualified at all, but they're going to accelerate filing 2019 because they would qualify. They're going to use that information in order to get you back your money. So I believe, obviously, if you receive a refund, you can give them your information so they direct deposit that amount into your account when you get a refund in general. If you've had to pay, I'm not sure if they're doing it the same. I would assume so, because I'm sure they have to know that a lot of people have to pay them. I mean, I did. So. But that's what they're supposed to be using in order to get you that money. The other question that a lot of people have, that I personally had, was, do you have to pay taxes on this at the end of in 2021? And again, the answer is no. I went through this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say it one more time. If you make more between January and December of 2020 than you did in 2019, you may have to return a portion of this money, because technically it's an accelerated tax credit for 2020. So theoretically, it should be based on 2020's income and not 19 or 18, but they're using that as an estimate because they're just trying to get the economy to continue to, function. So you may have to pay a portion of that back. Like I said, it's going to be $5 for every extra $100 you make. So if you can clearly see that you're on track to just bulldoze through what you made in 2019, and you currently qualify, and there's a very good chance that you're not going to qualify come 2021 when you file your 2020 taxes, you can obviously go ahead and use this money now, but be aware of the fact that you may have to pay some of it back, FYI. But again, it wouldn't be until 2021, and I believe they're even talking about some kind of deferral process for that as well. Last one, and this is a big one for a lot of people. What if I have debts? So a lot of people who do get refunds from the IRS, those refunds are applied to either outstanding tax debt, student loans that are in default, and things like that. If you have IRS debt or student loans that are in default, this will not be applied to those. You will actually receive the money, okay? They've suspended those things. The government has suspended those garnishments. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. They're not going to take that money from you. That will still come to you personally. So you don't have to worry about that. If you owe back child support, they will take this money. FYI. Okay, so that's the only situation where it would be applied to the balance instead of going to your account. If you have not filed your taxes and or you do not have a bank account that they will be able to deposit money in, they will eventually be sending out checks. How long those take, if they go to the right spot, I don't know. But they're saying that it's going to take, no one should hold their breath, just to be clear. The current estimate is it will take about 3 weeks for them to get payments out to people's bank accounts. For perspective, the last time they did one of these in 2018, it took more like 8. Now, granted, technology has improved in the last couple of years, without a doubt. The government, however, yeah. So, I'm sorry, 2008. 2008 was the last time they did this. So it's been 12 years. 12 years, right? So it should be better, but I'm not holding my breath, okay? So the short estimate is 3 weeks, which would be late-ish April. Long estimate for direct deposits is 8 weeks, which would be, what, June? And then the check situation, that could kind of be a crapshoot. Assuming you live in the same place, they should be able to get it to you without a problem. If you're somebody who lives in a lot of apartments, or you're a student, or you're in the military, and I've heard stories about military mail chasing people around the country or even overseas. I definitely have a client who lives overseas right now, and she was talking about the fact that her stuff would be going to another person who still lives in the U.S. that gets her mail, who would then have to forward it to her overseas, and that's assuming that you can get it through customs, and you get the idea. So if you're going to end up getting a paper check, just know that it's going to be coming later rather than sooner. That's just what this is, okay? That's just the reality right now. So let's get to how we should spend this, right? Because obviously, if you're getting, anywhere from, I don't even know what the bottom is, from $0 all the way up to however many kids you happen to have, you could get maybe $5,000 if you got a bunch of kids, or if you're, you have a litter. That's horrible. I'm really sorry. If you have a larger family, if you have 4 or 5 kids, you could get more money. So I wanted to talk about the way that we should spend this. So short story, you need a budget. Who's shocked that I'm saying that? No one is shocked, okay? I think everyone needs a budget. So whether you have been affected by this and your income has gone down, or whether your income is the same or it's gone up because you happen to, maybe you're the CEO of Zoom and all of a sudden everybody is filling your pockets, right? Either way, you need a budget, because that money will just find its way to creep right out of your wallet. Ask Amazon. They have seen a boom, right? People at home ain't got nothing to do. They're buying all the things. Same thing with places like Michael's, especially if you deliver. Places like Shipt and not Uber Eats, right? All those people, they're raking in money hand over fist. Probably not the people who deliver, unfortunately, but the people who own it. But you get what I'm saying. So what's the best way to spend this money? So number one, if you are a person who is in a tough situation and your income has been lowered, I think it would be really important for you to use this money for your immediate needs, whatever they happen to be at the time, right? We're going to get into more some of the different benefits that they have for people who are unemployed or dealing with rent or dealing with utilities, things like that. But today we're strictly focusing on how to spend the money that you do have. So focus on what I like to call the four walls. That's food first. You can't do nothing if you're starving to death. Housing, to the best of your ability, making sure you can keep a roof over your head. Utilities, keeping the lights on, gas for hot water, things like that. And then last but not least is transportation. So that's the first priority, right? Making sure those things get taken care of. And having a budget will allow you to know exactly how much you need to take care of those things. So if you're not sure how to put together a budget, I definitely have some videos on my work page as well as on my YouTube channel, which you can look up. It's under Do Better Financial, or it might be The Wallet Trainer. I believe it's Do Better Financial still. And that we'll have a little announcement later. But so focus on immediate needs first. Second, and this is the next question that I have for everybody, and I'm publishing it right now, is your emergency fund, okay? One of the reasons that this is really difficult for a lot of people is they just don't have the funds necessary to get through a rough patch, right? Missing a paycheck, missing half a paycheck, missing a sliver of a paycheck for some people can be catastrophic. So I think it's really important that everybody have an emergency fund and that you beef it up to make sure you can take care of yourselves. What they call a fully funded emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses. I know that sounds like a lot. It is. And the idea is that there was something I used to watch. It was one of the Dave Ramsey things. They used to call it the GOK, which is the God Only Knows Fund. I'm telling you, God knew this was coming. And having a fund to access when that kind of stuff happens is very freeing for you, right? It allows you the time and space that you need to make decisions, make moves, make changes, make adjustments to your lifestyle, if necessary. So at the very least, I think you should have an emergency fund. I see that a couple of people out there have a medium fund, which is great. Fully funded emergency fund for most people making, at least $50,000 is probably going to be 10K and up. Okay, that's fully funded. A medium one means you could probably make it a couple months, but if you got zero money, you'd be in trouble shortly, right? So baby emergency fund is $1,000. Medium one is going to be, like I said, somewhere in that 1,000 to 500 range. And then a large one is going to be over 5,000. Fully funded is probably going to be 10K and up. Real talk, okay? So if you've got all your immediate needs taken care of and you don't have much of an emergency fund, that's a great place to put this, however much money it is that you're about to get, right? Another thing that you can probably do is if you are currently working from home and or going to be working from home for the foreseeable future, that's going to be the case for me, right? I work in an industry where we are fully capable of working remotely, and we have been. I have literally been in my house working since it'll be 3 weeks this coming Wednesday. So I started working from home slightly before, the feces hit the fan. So I saw people who didn't understand how to wash their hands properly, like get them knuckles, and they weren't doing it right. And I was like, I don't have to do this. I can work at my house. So if you are somebody who wants to work at your house, who is able to work at your house and doesn't have a proper setup, a great thing to do with this is to buy yourself a proper chair, a good desk, because the last thing you want is to be working from home and end up needing to go to chiropractor in a month or two because you jacked up your back or your wrist is messed up or your neck's all weird and you're doing one of these numbers. Sorry, my camera's a little high. You're doing one of these numbers and you're all crunched up and now you can't sleep and you're all messed up, right? And then you got to go to the doctor. So getting a good setup for that, also for your kids, if they're homeschooling, if they now need something like you need a a laptop or a setup where they can do their work. Using that money for this, if you don't need to do the other things mentioned, is a great option. And this next one is near and dear to my heart because a lot of my clients are small business owners. Give. I know it can feel weird a lot of times, but my sister's actually been coming up with some ideas about how we can do this. And so if you're familiar with Erica Sanders' page, The Boss Level Life, definitely keep an eye on it. She's going to be launching something with some ideas on how we can best support small businesses, not just the ones that serve food, obviously, right? Like if you can support those, I think that's awesome. If you're willing to have them either delivered to you, just wipe off the containers, right? Wash your hands profusely, that sort of thing. Make sure you order from a place that's already reputable. Probably don't try nothing new because the last thing you need is food poisoning when you got another virus running around. It makes you more susceptible to other stuff, right? So that's definitely one way. If you know somebody who is who has a small business that you can support, do that. We definitely we're trying to engage in that. There was a lady on Facebook who is a baker, and she was selling, thanks for sharing, sis. She was selling cookie kits so that kids could make Easter cookies together and decorate them. And we got that so that my niece would be able to enjoy that, even though she's kind of been cooped up the last few weeks dealing with corona adjacent symptoms. There has not been a diagnosis because she wasn't high enough priority to get tested, but they've been keeping her in the house to make sure that whatever it is doesn't spread, right? So making sure that she was able to continue to be engaged, but also being able to support a small business owner who, can't do a lot of the work she normally does. If she's normally doing birthday cakes, a lot of people aren't ordering birthday cakes. They only got 2 or 3 people in the house. They're not going to have a gaggle of kids coming across that will allow them, to use a 15, 20, 30 person cake. So give to small businesses. Support them, give to food banks. That's a huge one. Our young adults are actually, we were scheduled for a food bank session, volunteer block. They do it in 4-hour blocks at the Houston Food Bank, and we do them on a regular schedule. And so we had one scheduled for this Friday. Now I will say this: they have sent out an email. They are practicing social distancing, disinfecting, and all of those things. And I am definitely seriously considering going myself for one reason and one reason alone. These kids don't have access to food otherwise. A lot of kids only get food at school, and even then they were getting a lot of help from the food bank by having food to take home on the weekends. And now that that lifeline has kind of been snatched away from them, for lack of a better term. So there are a lot of people who are still struggling, and even more than in the past. And if you're not comfortable with going, give. Support them in whatever way you can. And that's not just for food banks. That's for other charities who are supporting people without jobs, who are supporting people who are, essential, who are on the front lines of this, our EMS workers and our nurses and our doctors and, all of those sorts of people who are continuing to work through this to make sure our community is still functional. And also, I've seen some people who have been doing things like, sending lunch to places like HEB and Kroger, to sending lunch to places like hospitals and different doctors' offices, doing things like that in order to allow those people to continue to do their work and have one less thing to worry about, right? It's just one more way to give back. If you're somebody who knows that somebody else's child is, they're having to be homeschooled, but the parent is away, like, maybe including them and having them Zoom into your own session. Maybe you don't have to give them money, maybe just some time and interaction, knowing that the parents just can't be physically there to help them through a lot of this, right? So anything that you can offer to support people who are struggling right now, obviously money is one of those things, but time and creativity is another really, really good one. The last one that I have on the list is pretty simple, and you're not going to be surprised when I say this either. Save it. So whether it's, even if you don't have an emergency fund, maybe you are going to have taxes due, right? When you file for 2019, I believe if you file for 2019, I'm not going to mess this up. Check and see what will happen if you owe money and you need to file for 2019. I think they can work with you on not having to pay right now, so that you can file and have your stuff online to get this payment. But if you can figure that out and you get this payment and you still have taxes due, put it to the side. They paid your taxes. You know, if you need to do some home repairs, if there's something going on with the car or the roof or plumbing, we literally just had our entire house replumbed. So, stuff like that. If you need to do anything like that, saving this money for something like that is an awesome option. But that's pretty much it as far as the stimulus payments goes. I'm going to be going live again tomorrow. Same time, same bad time, same bad channel. At 6 p.m., we're going to be discussing the unemployment benefits portion of this package, which has changed a little bit from previous legislation. But those are the details that I have on the stimulus payments. If you have any questions that I did not answer, please go ahead and post them in the comments. I would be happy to answer those possibly before tomorrow's video. And there are going to be 3 more videos, at least 3 videos after this one, that are going to be targeted to different parts of the bill. So we've got the stimulus payments, unemployment benefits, student loans, retirement accounts, and some miscellaneous stuff. I'm also working on trying to get one together for business owners, but for whatever reason, that information is a little harder to come by. So as soon as I come by it, I will let y'all know. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will check in with you again tomorrow as we continue this series on breaking down the CARES stimulus package. I can't remember what all them letters stand for, but you can look it up. I'm going to post some stuff in the comments for you guys to check out, the calculator to figure out how much money you're going to be getting, and also the Q&A from, I believe it was the New York Times, that has a lot more detail about specific questions that you might ask about anything if you have the time and the desire to read through all of it. It is long. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.